be honest right now. Have you really written down your goals? Raise your hands. Okay, so less than half the room have actually done this in your life? Are you kidding me? Guys, this is a huge waste of this amazing power you have that you're not even using. Now, if you've written them down, how many read them every day? 3 people in this room? That's the problem. That's like 3% of the population accomplishes more than the other 97%. Right there. Here's the example in this room. Okay? So listen, guys, you've got to do this. And people say to me all the time, I can't get people to take me very serious. Why should anybody take you serious when you don't even know where you're going? You haven't even written it down. You're not even clear on what you want out of this business. And you certainly don't read it every day. Why should they follow you? They'll be as lost as you are. So get them done. Get them written down. I'm going to show you something right here. When I was 31, I rewrote them. I read another book, and this guy said, you can do this, you can create your whole life if you do this. So that's what I did. And I wrote them down, and I've now carried these with me for a long time. What's your name?
Chris.
Stand up, Chris. Would you please read aloud, face the audience, big voice. What does this say right there?
It says, goal objectives for the year 2050.
And how old will I be?
90.
And when did I write them down?
It looks like October 11th, 1991.
That's right. Thank you very much. Yeah. So what I did is on October 11th of 1991, when I was 31 years of age, I decided what my whole life was going to be like. I went to the end game, to the final chapter. And I said, when it's all done, this is what I want it to look like. Here's what I want my marriage to look like. Here's what I want my kids to look like. Here's what I want my grandkids to look like. Here's what I want my finances to look like. Here's what I want my spirituality to look like. Here's what I want my mental health to look like. Here's what I want my social and my friends to all look like. Do you know that you will become the average of your 5 closest friends? So if you're hanging out in a tavern every night, you got problems, okay? You will be the average of your 5 closest friends. I beat that into my children's heads the whole time they were growing up. All you parents, you go teach your kids that. You will be the average of your 5 closest friends. Really important who you associate with in your life, because it can change your thinking. And if you can change your thinking, you can change your future. That's the great secret of our day right now. You can change your future by changing your thoughts. What separates us from animals? Why are human beings different than animals? Because we have one thing we can do that no other animals can do. We can create the future in our minds before it exists in reality. We can conceive of something, and we can focus on it, and it will come to pass. That's this amazing creative power, and yet you guys aren't even using it. People spend more effort planning their 2-week vacation to Europe than they do planning their life. I got to get this airfare. Oh, here's another site. I can get on Expedia. I can get this ticket. Oh, I can stay at this hotel. Let me check that hotel. I'm going to get this tour. I need these tickets. I got to get this train at this time. And I got to meet this connection. I'll have to take a car from here. I'll rent a car there. There's a lot of details planning a 2-week trip to Europe. And you spend more time doing that than you plan your life? Come on, guys. Don't waste it anymore. You guys have such unbelievable power in your head. You can do anything if you'll just believe me and write it down. But you know what people do? They say, I don't know how to do it. I'm not sure how I would actually get it. I can't write it down because it'll be depressing. I'll fail. I won't get there. So I don't think I'll even write it down. That's how they think, right? They think, I don't know how to get there. You don't need to know. Here's another secret. Write this down. It doesn't matter that you don't know how you're going to do it. It doesn't matter that you don't know how you're going to be a blue diamond in this company. Okay? It doesn't matter. That's like saying this. That's like saying my goal is to go down to the mall to go shopping. That's my goal today. I got to get down to the mall and go shopping. But then you sit at your house because you've made a condition. You've said, I have to know exactly how I'm going to get there. And I'm not going to leave my house until all the lights are green all the way to that mall. You will never leave your house because the lights will not all be green all the way to the mall, will they? There'll be yellow lights, there'll be red lights, there could be a wreck, there could be a detour. You don't know. But if your objective is fixed in your mind, you'll get there. You'll figure out how to get there. The way will be made known to you while you're in process. Okay? You have to exercise the faith first, to step into the dark and it will illuminate. And that's the scary part. To write it all down and put it out there and read it every day. And if you do that, it will become your dominant thought. You will program your subconscious mind. And it will pull out all the data that you already have recorded here. Everything you've ever seen, read, felt, smelled, tasted, heard, everything's recorded, your whole life. You heard about those people with their near-death experiences. They say, my whole life played like this big movie. It was like so detailed that it was like 1 minute. I saw every person, everything I'd done, everything was in front of my face. It's all there, guys. It's all recorded right here. There's names in there that can help you become a blue diamond that you haven't extracted yet, that you've forgotten, because it's not your dominant thought. And when you go to meet with people, they can tell if you know where you're going or not. They can tell if you have a purpose, okay? People want to follow people that know exactly where they're going. And when you know where you're going, you talk about it differently. You got a different tone in your voice. You got a different look in your eye. You project this confidence that attracts people to you. And people sit there all the time and go, I wish I could get people to believe me more. Write your goals down. Get them in your head. Because you're going to change. It'll change you. And you'll become a totally different, more effective person, right? I knew that if I could break these down, 90 years, 70 years, 50 years, 40 years, 35, 34, 33, 32, because I wrote them when I was 31. I knew that if I could put together 6 days in a row, I could have a good week. If I could put 4 weeks together, I could have a good month. If I could do 12 months in a row, I could have a good year. If I did 5 years, I could do 5, and then 10 years, and then 20. I could take my whole life and just break it down in bite-sized pieces right back to this week. That's it. If I read my 90-year goals under the financial section, I'm 53. I've already met all my 90-year goals for money. I'm 53. I'm 37 years ahead of schedule. Okay? Now I'm still screwed up in a lot of the other areas. Okay? And I'm working on those. Okay? But that other one, the financial one, has come to pass because of new skin and being focused. Okay, enough on goals. You got the goal thing?
Yeah.
Are you a little more motivated? Are you going to take it a little more serious?
Yes.
I hope you do.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, most of you won't. Okay, let's go to the second one. Let's do contacts right here. All right, so what do we tell people in the system when we say it's time to contact? What do we tell you to do? Who do we tell you to contact when you first start? Exactly. FFPC. Don't ever forget that. Family, friends, business, community contacts. Why do we ask people to go to those contacts first? Because most people are not salespeople when they join us. They come from every walk of life, right? And if you just say to them, crack open the phone book and start dialing those numbers and tell them you got this great thing they need to see, they're going to get their head kicked in, right? Because cold market rejections are a lot sharper than people you know. Usually, people you know don't reject you so abruptly because you got a relationship. So we want you to cut your teeth. We want you to cut your teeth in the inviting process on people that you have a relationship with, right? When you know what we know about this business, you want to go to the people you care about most anyway. And if your brain's screwed up and you think that you just want to use people, and this is like a scam, and you just want to recruit them and get their money and then forget them, okay, then you need to leave right now. Because this is not a scam, and it's not about using people, okay? This is about helping people. We try to get them better products that can improve their health and change their life, okay? We try to help them look better because it helps people's self-confidence when they feel better about themselves, okay? And a lot of people struggle with their self-confidence. So we're trying to help people in both of those areas, all right? We're trying to help them with their money, to actually change the outcome of their financial future. Okay, those are the things we're trying to do. And nobody can get hurt in this company, can they? Any customer who doesn't like any of our products for any reason gets a 100% refund, don't they? Mm-hmm. No questions asked. This is the Nordstrom's philosophy in this company, right? If you're a distributor and you get in this business and you decide it's not for you, you've got up to 1 year from the date of purchase. You can return any unopened product in new skin for a 90% refund. It'll cost you 10%. So if you spend $1,200 and you don't open any of that product and it sits there for a year and you kick it every day when you walk in the door because it's like in your way, okay, and you don't do anything and you flake out, okay, pack it all up, send it back to New Skin, they'll give you all your money back, that's 10%. So they'll keep $120 and they'll put all the rest of it back on your credit card, okay? Where else can you do that? Where can you start a business and then roll it backwards and just get your money back. Can you do that with your Subway franchise?
No.
Can you say, you know what, I'm sick of making all these sandwiches, it's been 9 months, I'm done. Send back all those little bins of veggies and stuff in your ovens. Will they give you 90% back, you think? Not a chance, right? Nobody can get hurt here. You cannot get hurt in this business. The worst thing that can happen in Nu Skin is you look better and live longer. That's it. That's the worst thing that can happen. All right, so do you have your head straight about what you're trying to do? You're trying to help people here, right? And so this is a big issue. People make it about them. And that's where they forget. They start to focus on themselves and their needs and how they feel instead of focusing on the other people that you can help. And that is the biggest issue people have in this business. You've got to get past yourself. When people say, I'm my biggest problem, they're hitting it right on the head. Okay? You got to get over yourself. Anytime you say, well, I'm afraid, I'm feeling fear, I don't want to talk to this person because they may reject me, you're just making it all about you. It's you. You're concerned about you and your fear and you're afraid and they may reject you. Get past that garbage. Start to think about the other people and what you can do for them and stop worrying about yourself, okay? This is a big problem people have. They make it about them all the time. We all tend to do this. We all care about ourselves first, you know? We think we got to take care of our needs first. Have you ever heard what the real secret to success is? If you help enough other people get what they want, then you're going to get what you want. But that requires you to forget about yourself and just go to work. Does that make any sense? Okay, it's really important that you do that, okay? All right, so when we talk about contacting, I'm going to tell you what I did. The first year, I wrote down more than 300 names on my list. How many names does the average distributor write down on their list? About 10. About 10 names, and they're done. No wonder they're done. No wonder so many people quit so early, right? Okay, we're going to talk about why they do that. I wrote down over 300 names my first year and called them. You've got to work pretty hard to write down 300 names of people you have some relationship with, right? You've got to start scratching and digging to get those names. You've got to make it your dominant thought so you remember whole strings of people that you never remember, okay? And you have to make sure that you don't prejudge people. You can't say to yourself, I can't even call those people because they're too successful, or they wouldn't be interested, or they're not into this kind of thing. Oh yeah, let's see, they're not into looking good and living longer. Okay. Yeah, they're not into that. Okay. So we make these prejudgments on people where we decide we're not going to call a lot of our list. A lot of the people we know, we just cross them off ourselves. Who are you to make that decision for them? Do you know what's going on in their life right now? Do you know if they think they're like needing supplemental income, or they've got a problem, or they need something with their health? Okay? You don't know that stuff. I can go down every street in this city, every house. I could knock on every door and somebody's got a problem in every single house. Okay? So we can help, you know? We've got a way to help them do it. But what you do is like you make these prejudgments because, you know, you're all thinking about you. You're scared to call certain people. Every distributor has their chicken list that they're chicken to call. Okay? And that's your problem. Is because now like you're making yourself the issue again. Okay? Think about them, not about you. So don't prejudge. Be willing to talk to anybody about the business. When I started, I had no luxuries to like pick and choose. When I started, I sold my interest in my real estate brokerage in 2 weeks after I started Nu Skin. And all of a sudden, I find myself full-time with Nu Skin as my sole source of money. I've got 3 little daughters under the age of 5. Beautiful wife at home, and I just bought a new home the year before. I got a big house payment. So I have to have $5,000 a month minimum to make it happen at my house, right? I had to feed my family. So I was like a crazy person. Anybody who clipped my fingertips, we're going to hear about it. You got that close to me, you're going to get it. Probably not even that close, you're going to hear it. You know, that you need to look at what I'm doing. You know, are you open to a new idea? You need to see what I'm doing, okay? And it was just nonstop for me to do that. Today, I'm more selective because I can be. Because I've made $50 million in this company, so I can be more selective, okay? I can kind of pick and choose who I want to work with. But I'm kind of prejudging when I do it. I probably shouldn't do it if I'm really going to just go give everybody the chance, right? But I'm just not as motivated as I used to be. Okay? Then I was really motivated. Nobody else was going to feed my family and pay my mortgage. So I had my back against the wall. So I did it. Okay? So, 300 people. How many people actually sat down with me where I could give them the pitch Number 4, the presentation. Okay? I've got all these contacts, 300, and I go out and invite them. Okay? Number 3, I'm inviting them. I'm approaching them and asking them to sit down with me to see what I'm doing. Okay? Out of 300, about 100 people sat down with me. I was able to give them a half hour to an hour presentation. Okay? And some people were pretty tough. Some people, they said, I don't want to do it. I'm not interested in this kind of stuff. I hate network marketing, so I really didn't want to meet with you. Glad you're doing it. Happy for you, but I'm not in the game. And I don't let them off the hook that easy. You know? Do you? You go, oh, I'm sorry. Did I interrupt you? Were you eating dinner? Forgive me. Let me tuck my tail and run right now. I'll just get off this phone and I'll never bother you again. Are you a wimp like that?
No.
Okay, hold on. You know, if my sponsor would not have pressed me pretty hard, I wouldn't be standing here. Because I 3 times tried to kick him off that phone. And he kept coming back. Okay? And so you sometimes have to be a little more aggressive. And I would say to people, when they're talking to me like that, I say, okay, John, I get it. That's fine. Okay? But here's what I think. You don't even know what you're saying no to. And you think you know what you're talking about, but I'm telling you right now, you don't know. Because I can tell from your comments. You owe it to yourself. I don't say to me, I don't ever say you owe it to me. Don't ever say that. You owe it to yourself to sit down with me for 30 minutes and find out what this is. And at the end of that time, if you have no interest still, I will never bother you again about this the rest of your life. And I got people to sit down with me like that. And some did it. Most didn't. Most people are not going to do it, right? We understand that? Most of the time it's going to be no. Sorry, not interested. What do you say to people then? I always approach people about the business. And if they don't want to do the business, then I default them to product. I go, okay, that's fine. I get it. You're not into the business. You don't want to do this. That's fine. But at least you have to try the product. And half the time, they'll actually get a product from you. Like 50% of the time. People hate to tell you no twice in a row. And so they tell you no in the business, and now here comes the product. You know, you have to try the product. They hate to say no again. So about half the time, they go, okay, so what should I try? What do you recommend? And you can put them on a product, right? Half the time they're going to go, no, not even interested in the product. So before you hang up the phone, you say, one last question. Would you mind if I checked back with you in 6 months and just gave you an update on how I'm doing? What do you think people say to that?
Sure.
Yeah, fine. And if they don't, they go, no, you cannot call me back. What do you do with that name? That's when you cross off for good, okay? Those people are booger eaters, and you don't want to work with them anymore. So you just cross them off. You're done with those people, okay? Most people I never cross off. I'm not one to burn any bridges because I'm trying to create relationships with people. And if they trust me enough, then they're going to follow eventually, right? So I say to them, would you mind? And usually they'll say, that's great, no problem. And they just kind of, sometimes they just want to get the call over, right? So they go, yeah, that'd be fine. Imagine their utter shock in 6 months when their phone rings and I'm on the phone. And I start telling them, hey, how you doing? I haven't talked to you for 6 months. And they go, man, I'm sorry, but I don't remember who you are. That's usually what happens, right? And you say, oh, that's okay. You remember I called you 6 months ago and I told you about the new skin opportunity that I was engaged in, okay? I asked your permission to be okay if I called you back in 6 months just to give you an update. And all of a sudden they get it, right? They're like, oh, okay, I do. Actually, I remember you now, okay? And you just say, hey, I'm just calling back to see if you're open yet. If you're ready to look at this thing yet? And sometimes they'll go, okay. I mean, at a minimum, guess what happens when you do this? They say in their mind, wow, organized person. This is impressive. 6 months to the day, they're calling me back, you know, sharp. This person's got their act together. You made a big impression because they expected you would be done in 2 weeks after you called them the first time, like most people who call them about something like this, right? And the fact that you actually called them and followed up when you said, that blows people away. And you know what? They may say, not ready. You go, good. Mind if I call you another 6 months, give you an update? I'll keep asking them that until they say, you know what, you don't ever need to call me back, okay? I'm never going to be interested. Okay, fine. And then I'll scratch it off, right? But I'll keep asking that because I'm trying to build a relationship. Okay? And so maybe it's a year. Maybe it's 2 years. And finally they get it. We've got this relationship. They know that I'm serious. Do you think people want to follow people that know where they're going or serious? They'll say in their mind, if I ever was going to do something like this, I would do it with that person. Because they got their act together. Right? You've proven that to them by your consistency. All right? So are you really in this game? Or are you just here to play around and see if it works? I mean, do you think this is a lottery? Like maybe you'll just talk to 20 people and maybe one of them will hit and they'll win the jackpot and they'll build some big business and you'll be rich or something. Stop deluding yourself. You know, if that's your attitude, quit. You know, just go get a job or something because you're not going to be a blue diamond here with that kind of attitude or that kind of level of activity. Okay? Out of those 100 people, how many people do you think enrolled? They actually signed up on my front line of my new skin business. 33. Yep, about a third. About a third will take the presentation and about a third will actually enroll. Okay? And that may only be 10% in the beginning because you're not very good at your words or your confidence. It's really not the words as much as how you say the words. It's kind of the confidence level you have. It's what you're projecting to people. Can you guys tell that I've got pretty good posture?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know, right? And that's certainty. You can hear it in my voice, can't you? Yeah. If not, I'm making a mistake because, you know, usually people can catch that from me, that I'm very certain about what I'm doing. And so that's the key. And as you get more confident and you're more certain about what you're doing, your ratios go up. Okay? People say, well, of course you can act like that. You made all this money, so, you know, of course you're confident. Ask anybody who knew me from the first week. I mean, I would stand up at 29 years of age in front of these rooms of guys that are doctors and lawyers and tell them they're screwed. And then I'll look at me like, who is he to talk to us like that? Punk, you know? But I was right. Because those guys had educated themselves into zero leverage. They had to show up at those offices for the rest of their lives. If they ever stopped drilling teeth or seeing clients or billing patients, they made nothing. They will never have a life. The second they stop, it's over. And I tell them that to their face. They go, God, that guy's got guts, you know? And it's just the truth. Just tell them the truth, right? Yeah. And so 33 people sign up. How many people were left at the end of the first year?
5.
13. 5 of them actually really moved the needle. 5 of them were the ones. But 13 became executives or someone under them became executives, rolled up, and made me a blue diamond in 12 months. Okay? Now, folks, you can do those 300 contacts over like 5 years or never do them and never get there or do them over 1 year like me. It's just about doing them, you know, faster rather than slower if you want faster success, right? And here's another thing. The closer in proximity that you do the invites, if you only invite one person a day, then you don't invite somebody for another 2 weeks, you're not going to get very good at inviting, right? Because, you know, you make mistakes, you learn how to do it better, learn how to read people better, and you forget that stuff if you don't do them in pretty close proximity. Same thing with presenting. You know, at the end of a trip like this, I've kind of got the presentation like on the tip of my tongue, right? Because I'm doing it 3 times a day. You know, if I don't do it for 2 weeks, I'm a little bit rusty. I'm not as good as I used to be, right? Practice makes perfect. And the closer you can do it, here's what happens to your skill set. It goes up exponentially when you do it closer together. You get deadly. I mean, you get to the point where you're like, they can't resist you. You get really good at answering the questions, right? So that'll happen. So contacting. Do you want me to give you the fail-safe approach? I have a way that I can tell you where there is no way you will not be a team elite. You cannot miss. I can tell you if you want to know.
Go ahead.
But there's risk in knowing this. There is.
Yeah, no.
I can tell you if you want.
Sure.
You sure?
Yeah.
Some of these people aren't quite sure. They're a little nervous.
Very
back there.
sure.
We were nervous, but it's okay.
You have to talk to 2,000 people. Ooh, I just saw somebody gasp.
No, that makes sense.
Okay, maybe it's too tough. Maybe you're done. You don't have to do this, do you? It's way easier, you guys, just to have a job. Just go get a job. You'll have all your evenings free. You won't have to worry about doing new skin in the evenings or anything. You'll never have anything financially. You'll barely survive in retirement, but, you know, that's okay. At least you'll have a few good years now where you have to, like, work at night. Or you can do this for 2 or 3 or 5, maybe 7 years, and do it really serious one time and be done for the rest of your life and never worry about money again. So those are your choices. You can punch a time clock and have nothing. You can sit in a cube and stare at felt the rest of your life, okay? Or you can actually do something like this. But this is not easy, okay? This is very challenging for a lot of people, mainly because they can't get past themselves. That's the biggest challenge, okay? So how come 2,000? Because about 700 will sit down and listen. About a third will actually sit down and listen to you. So you actually give the pitch to like 700. You get a whole bunch of consumers. You get like 100, maybe 200 consumers that'll say no to the business, but you'll get them on product. So that takes care of all your group volumes forever, okay? And then out of that thing, you're going to sign up like 200, maybe 220, 230. You'll sign up about a third of them as distributors on your front line. And we know statistically from looking in Nu Skin's databases at the headquarters, we look at all the Blue Diamonds and Team Elites, we know statistically speaking that 10% of all the people you personally sponsor will end up becoming executives on your front line, or someone underneath them will become an executive and roll up into that spot and make you a Team Elite. So you'll have about 20 executives on your front line if you do that. And you're done. I've sponsored 212 people in 24 years. 212. That's how many I've enrolled personally on my front line since I started Nu Skin. Okay? That's less than 10 a year over 24 years, right? But the vast majority were the first 3 years. That's when I had to like really hit it, man. Put the wood to it right then, right? It's like the space shuttle. Why do they strap those two big solid rocket boosters on that space shuttle? Because it's really hard to get started. It's hard to break gravity, right? But once that thing's up in orbit and it's going 26,000 miles an hour, how much energy does it take to keep it in orbit? Like little teeny adjustments, right? Like nothing. But it took 2 huge boosters to get it up there. That's your business. That's exactly like Nu Skin. You got to hit it like Mach 2 with your hair on fire for the first 2 or 3 years, okay? That's what you got to do to create momentum in your own group. And once it's in orbit, there's nothing you can do to stop it. Literally, I am at this point in my business, there's nothing I can do to shut down the money. It's just going to keep coming in no matter what for the rest of my life. Why? Because I got great leaders that are better than me, that are doing it for them and their family. They're not doing it for me. They can care less what I do. But because they're part of my network, I get paid on that, right? And they keep doing it, whether I do it or not. So in the beginning, it's all you. You got to like pump up. Okay? In the end, it's not you at all. That's why you can have money and have a life. Which you can't do in any other business I've ever seen. All right? So where are we at here? A few more minutes, right? Okay. So that's a lot of people. And if I ruined you, I'm sorry. Okay? But that's fail-safe. Now, I don't think you're going to have to do all 2,000. I've done about 1,000. That's about how many I've approached. So I'm just telling you, your brain's so screwed up, you're over here at 10 or 20 people you're thinking of talking to. So I'm trying to fix your head. I'm trying to take the pendulum and swing it over here. So at least we can maybe have you drop back to the middle somewhere. Okay? It's probably going to take really, truly about 1,000 personal contacts. Now you say to yourself, where would I ever find that many people? Well, they're all over the place. There's millions of people. Okay? And the only reason you don't find them is you're not willing to talk to them because you make it about yourself. You're not willing to go. You're afraid. Let me give you a little secret of life, okay? Anytime you feel fear, it's because you're out of your comfort zone. No one can grow or change unless they're out of their comfort zone. If you're always in your comfort zone, you're never going to change. You're stuck in your ways, and you're not going to make any real progress in your life. You want to be happier, you want to do more things, you want to help more people, you want to have greater financial security, you got to get out of your comfort zone, okay? Alan can stay there and just drill teeth his whole life, and he'll be really comfortable, okay? But he's never going to have a life, okay? He's got to show up and do it every day forever, okay? If you want to have a life, you want to live like we live, okay, I promise you, if you live my life for a week, if you went with me and just do what I did, you'd go, you got to be kidding me. You'd do anything legal, ethical, and moral to get what I have, okay? You would. It's pretty incredible. All right? So, anyhow, what I'm saying to you is this. You just got to understand about the context and be willing to talk to those people. And when you feel fear, and you know, like, okay, I'm out of my comfort zone. I'm feeling that anxiety. Okay? That's good. If you go right at it. If you'll face your fears, whenever you feel that little tinge of fear, you just stare it down and you just do it. You go right at it and go right through it. Okay? How come? Because success is just on the other side of fear. Write that down. That's a very important principle. Teach this to your children. Don't let your kids be wimps and come home and go, Mom, I don't want to do that. I can't anymore, Tell them to suck it up. Make them do hard things so they're not wimps, okay? Success is just on the other side of fear. And so what you have to do is you got to stare fear down and go right through it. And when you do, you get stronger. If you see the fear and you turn away from it and you don't go through it, you get weaker. Because you lose confidence in yourself and you turn back into your shell. You turn back into your comfort zone. Does this make sense? It's hard to do this, guys, but that's the part of stretching yourself throughout your life, right? Becoming better at things like this. And so that's self-improvement, okay? That's what we're talking about. All right, so that's a little bit on context. One thing before we finish. We're not going to get to the other stuff. I apologize. Hopefully this has been helpful to you. Okay, so let's talk for a moment. Why do 90% of distributors approach prospects with a product instead of the business? 90% of distributors, the first thing they say to people is all about some product, you know? Like, I got this wrinkle iron that can pull 5 years off your face in 10 minutes. You won't believe it. Or, you know, I got this amazing pearls, or I got, you know, this or that. You got to see these. Why do we do that? What?
It's easier.
Comfort. Who said comfort? You did. Okay, this is good. Why is it more comfortable?
It's easier.
Easier to understand about the product, it's easier to present.
Okay, why? Why is it easier to present or understand?
Maybe that's why you were brought into the business, so it's what you know.
Okay, so somebody approached you with a product. That happens 90% of the time. I just told you that, right?
It's also personal experience.
Okay, so people duplicate what was done to them, right? Our whole business is duplication. You'll duplicate whatever was done to you. That's all you know, unless you learn it. Okay? So that's how she was approached. So that's what she does with her people. She duplicates that, right? Be careful what you duplicate. Because everything will be duplicated, good or bad. All right? So she's brought in that way. Why is it like easier to talk about? She said that just a second ago. And she said it was about your personal experience. So you have some experience, so you can speak from experience, right? And say, hey, this is what it did for me. That's all good stuff, right? Nothing wrong with any of that. Yes, somebody over here.
The product is rejected, not you.
Oh, this is so good. She hit the nail on the head with this one, okay? Yeah, this is like this tangible thing. It's right there. You can touch it, taste it, smell it, feel it, you know. You can get the product spec sheet. You can tell them all about it, right? And if they don't want the product, then they're rejecting the product. And, you know, I'm not interested in that product. And it's not such a tough rejection, right? Because it was the product they rejected. But when you go to somebody and say, hey, Jack, I want you to be on my team. Let's lock arms. Let's do this together, right? Let's go for it, Jack. I'll help you. Let's go make New Skin happen. And he goes, nah, you know, it's just not for me. Now who's he rejecting?
You.
Me. And my proposal is to be on my team. And that hurts a little bit more when you get that kind of rejection. So because we hate fear, and we stay in our shells, we make it about ourselves, okay, instead of about the other people, we're really kind of afraid to have those kind of rejections. Okay, so now we're getting down to it. So we know that it's a tangible, and the opportunities, and intangible. Is it harder to sell than intangible? And by the way, if you guys think this is not selling,
Oh, it's silly.
how many people tell people, oh, this isn't about sales? Why do you lie to people? Why do you lie to people? You might as well get rid of them now, because if you convince them to come in thinking it's not sales, they just got to be a good teacher or some baloney you tell them, they're going to find out it's sales within like a day. And they're going to be on it. Why would you waste your time? Just put them on product and be done with it, right? This is most definitely about sales. In fact, your whole life is about sales. You're trying to sell your kids on doing what you want them to do, or your spouse, or your boss, or anybody in your life. Your whole life is sales, so don't think everybody's not a salesperson. They are. Some are better than others, okay? All right, so all of a sudden we have this tangible versus an intangible, right? And when I sell this product, all I'm asking them for is their money.